Welcome back to another episode on the Abandoned STI, presented by Turn 14 Distribution. Got a question for you. What parts do you think we're installing today? As we continue to mock things up on the STI here, just to make sure everything fits the way we want it to, we are going to start with this front mount intercooler kit made by Cosworth. And you can't buy this kit anymore. We actually got this from our buddy Gary at Man Engineering. He watches the series on the STI and said, hey, if you guys need anything, let me know. And we hadn't selected a front mount kit for it yet. There's some challenges with the front bumper on this car. Not all kits fit these early GRs. And he had this new old stock kit sitting on the shelf there, and it does fit the front bumper on this car, and he offered it to us at a too good to pass on price. So we bought it from Gary, and we're going to bolt it up now. But as you can see, it's obviously from Cosworth. It's going to be a quality piece. It's rated to handle the horsepower that we plan to make. Comes with all the charge pipes and all the couplers, and I'm assuming very thorough instructions. So without further ado, let's get down to it.
I've got our Cosworth intercooler mounted up to the rebar, and I've got to say, this is a different design than I think most Subaru front mounts. They're obviously a lot wider and not as tall, so I'm curious to see how this will work. I don't necessarily love the mounting points. I don't think it's as clean a look as some of the other kits on the market, but it is a Cosworth unit, which means it's going to be pretty excellent.
I know Pete said he didn't love these brackets on the front of the intercooler, but they're pretty cool the way they integrate a bushing on these grommets here, which like rubber isolates the whole intercooler. So the engineering nerds at Cosworth did do something good.
Oh, it's a great mounting technique. It's just visually, I think,
on the front
not so great.
Face,
yeah,
I hear you.
And I mean, if they had made these black, maybe
the bolts black.
Yeah,
that's true.
It wouldn't stand out as much, but nevertheless, I still like it. I think it's a pretty neat design. It's all bolt-in, which is nice.
Yep.
So next up here, intercooler piping. Intercooler kit is mounted up, and I gotta say, I love the finish on the Cosworth piping. However, there is so much of it. My goodness, these Subarus require so much piping for a front mount setup. It's kind of crazy to think, but nevertheless, we are good to go on that. So the next step here is to mount up our blow-off valve, and we are going with a Turbosmart dual port blow-off valve. The reason why I chose this blow-off valve is, as the name implies, it has dual ports, so you can recirculate and vent to atmosphere, so you can get a little bit of noise while recirculating back into the system so you don't have a hiccup. A lot of MAF airflow based cars have a rich situation when you shift if you're venting to the atmosphere. This kind of gives you the best of both worlds in that sense. And if we decide that we want to vent to atmosphere completely, Turbosmart supplies a little plug here that you just take off the recirculating port, or vice versa. If you want to just recirculate, you put this on here to block it off from venting to the atmosphere. So it's a really good flexible blow-off valve to kind of meet your needs or grow as you do. If you decide you want to vent, then you do that. Also, I really like that it has the ability to clock itself, and I had to actually flip this adapter flange onto the opposite way around so that it would fit on here. Before it was like this. So naturally I was able to do that, which gives me the ability to mount it up, because the Cosworth piping kit here mounts the blow-off valve on this side here, which I don't think is a common spot for the blow-off valve.
Time to install our Cobb SF intake and airbox combination. This is a very nice piece, as you would expect from a company like Cobb, who engineers things to the max. It comes with this custom conical air filter, obviously, and where the magic really happens is with this intake tube. As you can see, it has this grid inside, which is designed to split the air and smooth it across the MAF sensor and give it a better reading. So it apparently cures a lot of the dead spots that you get with other intakes. And this velocity stack that's integrated into the tube with CFD design for maximum airflow. And this whole tube being made of composite material rather than metal also rejects heat much better than metal. So you don't heat soak your intake as easily. And obviously with the integrated air box that bolts into place here with this very beautiful bracket that they make with the Cobb logo on it. This acts as like your cold air box, so it separates the engine heat from the filter element. It's fed by this plastic factory piece that should be here. Just imagine in your minds that we have that plastic duct. Another thing we have to get from NV Auto.
Yeah.
But that will give us a fresh air charge into this air box. And so you kind of get the benefits of both a short ram intake and a cold air intake in one unit. So we separate the heat both by this air shield and this composite material. We have the air filter up nice and high in a safe location, so we're never going to hydrolock this motor, because I do plan to drive this through some mega deep puddles as my daily driver PT.
Oh, come on.
Yes. Anyway, let's bolt this thing up. Looks pretty simple. Well, our quick and dirty test fit is complete, and everything lines up more or less. It's all just kind of in there loose, but I think we'll be able to make it all fit nicely. I should mention that this SF airbox and intake system is CARB legal. So you can run it in California or any of the lower 50 states, I think anywhere in the States. And you should be able to run it legally in Canada too without any issues. But it does require a retune to run properly. If you don't retune it, apparently you pick up like a stumble around 5,000 RPM. So you either need to use, say, the Cobb Access Port Stage 1 tune specifically for the SF intake, or get it pro-tuned either with your Cobb Access Port or some other aftermarket solution. So keep that in mind if you're putting this intake on your STI. It is now time to mock up our radiator solution. As a matter of fact, this isn't just a radiator solution. This is a radiator and an oil cooler solution, which I'll explain to you in a moment. But first, I will point out that this is from CSF. This is their 2-row 42 mil core, and it uses their B-tube technology. So these tubes that travel north and south in this case actually have a B-shaped to them. So it's instead of being an oval tube, it's sort of folded down in the middle like a B. And that gives you more surface area. It actually also allows the tubes to be made of a thinner material, which helps with heat dissipation. So you get a stronger tube, a thinner tube, better heat dissipation, and apparently it also creates like a laminar flow in the tube, which also helps with cooling efficiency. So it's a very high efficiency core. The fins, by the way, also have a special profile to them, which creates extra surface area and better flow through the core, which again helps with efficiency. And also, it's obviously an all aluminum design, so we get nice aluminum end tanks that have been polished to a mirror shine. They call it that their 1 hour polish. So some dude in CSS factory is polishing those for 1 hour, which I think is pretty cool. And then for the real magic, if we flip this around, you can see that there are ports at the bottom in the end tank for oil lines in and out. And that's because in the bottom end tank, there's 4 plates that run through it, that the oil travels through, and then that oil is cooled by the water that surrounds them in the end tank. So this is a liquid to oil cooling system rather than your traditional air to oil cooler. In fact, CSF in their own internal testing in their in-house laboratory found that this style of cooling is more efficient than your typical 10-row air to oil cooler. So it's a very efficient design, and the kit includes this Mocal oil sandwich adapter, which is also thermostatic. So you get the benefits of thermostat here, as well as the engine's thermostat controlling water temperature to the plates in the end tank. Also comes with these 2 90-degree fittings. And we have gone and raided Pete's stash of Vibrant goodies to finish the whole setup out. So we've got some Vibrant straight fittings, some of their flexible race hose. So we will complete this setup.
Once again, I think I overthought this. If you saw there, we were going back and forth trying to figure out what the best routing for these lines was, because you can't just run them directly. You also probably noticed that we were fitting our oil sandwich plate on directly onto the block. We're missing like a part of the oil filter housing, so we still need to go back to NV Auto to get that. However, otherwise, I think it all came together exceptionally well. We've run the lines, so now they've got a bunch of give, so even if the motor moves, it's not going to cause any type of issue with the oil cooler lines. I love the way CSF did design this whole piece, so it kind of mounts right up nice and tight. There's not a lot of clearance, however, so we're gonna get a couple of those, what do we call those things, DP? The
Low profile 90s?
Yeah, well, no, not the 90s. The adapters that go in between
the lines
hose.
together. Yeah.
So we're gonna get a couple of those from Vibrant so we can make it look just a little bit nicer.
All right, just doing a quick test fit of our Sampo hoses here, and top rad hose fits up beautifully. And as you can see, we have a complete collection of Sampo hoses for the entire engine bay. Like everything else on this motor, Pete, there's a million tubes and pipes and hoses, so.
And you know what? These I feel justified replacing, because those hoses, they're brittle, some of them.
Yeah.
Some of them are gonna crack, and that's not something I want to deal with while this car's driving,
Yeah,
right?
fair enough, especially with a pricey motor build like this one. And we should mention that the Sampo silicone hoses are obviously a lot more durable than the standard OE hoses. These are all handmade in the UK by actual car enthusiasts. They have jigs all laid out, so they get the exact dimensions of all these hoses.
Imagine making all of those?
All hand laid. It's pretty wild. And these are the true OGs in the silicone hose game. They literally invented the silicone hoses. They're using everything from like Formula One to World Rally Car to the Abandoned STI. We're using the best of the best here, people. And so we will not have any hose failures on this. And it's even matching this gray color to our Cosworth Intercooler.
We didn't plan that, I know.
It's all coming together here, PT.
This is gonna look so badass.
Exciting times, PT. We get to install an exhaust system, which means we're getting pretty close to having a car in one piece again.
I know.
This is our Cobb full stainless Catback exhaust system. And I know exactly how this thing fits and sounds, because I put this very system on my buddy Andy's 2009 STA back in the old modified magazine days. So it's already pre-approved by DP for sound and fit and finish and quality. It sounds awesome. It's got a really deep, dare I say, manly sound to it without any drone. It's really nice on the street, but then when you rip it, it just has a really nice, I don't know, a deep, rich tone to it. I really like the sound quality of it.
So it's a perfect daily driver exhaust system.
You could say it's the perfect system.
That's going to sound so good on my when I start driving it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it'll sound great on my daily driver. I really like the 3.5-inch tips with the Cobb logo on it, polished to a nice shine. The muffler is a straight through design rather than a chambered design, which apparently reduces back pressure and helps us make more jam. And of course, it's all made of 304 stainless, so it's corrosion resistant. The welds are beautiful. The fit, I know, is really good. It's got a little resonator in the mid pipe, so let's bolt this puppy up.
Woo-wee! This thing fit like a glove, and it was like a 5-minute install. I love when exhaust systems go on like this. But man, it looks really good, DB. I love the huge quad tips.
Yep.
I like the embossed Cobb logo on the bottom of this muffler. And this is looking good. And the whole rear end looks new.
Shiny back here. Look at it.
We built everything back here.
We have.
How cool. All right, well, I think that is officially a wrap on today's episode of building my summer daily driver. I can't wait to drive this thing. Holy smokes, it's gonna be...
I might let you drive it once in a while.
It's gonna be so awesome, Dave. You know it. So thank you very much for watching. Make sure to give me a thumbs up for this video if you liked it, and make sure to hit the notifications bell to keep up with more Subaru content coming at you real soon.